This week's code topic is to work in an environmentally conscientious manner. Does anyone have anything on that?
To be conscientious is aligned with, and it's about integrity, and it's aligned with the way we perform on a daily basis. So that's a good word, conscientious.
So we've had 13 days without a recordable injury and 9 days without a first aid related injury. So this week has been good so far. Be safe today. I'm going to talk about spill containment. This kind of goes along with the code topic. First off, before you start a job, inspect your equipment. Inspect them for any small leaks, especially if you're working around water, over water, doing things like this. Inspect for any little leaks, because a small leak can become a big problem eventually, and you don't want to, one of these big hoses blowing off or breaking off the equipment, and getting the water contaminated. So before a lot of these culvert jobs, things like that, before we do the job, ask yourself, do we need an oil boom or something like that? Something to contain the oil from going down like a nice, pristine stream or something like that. If you go to a job, are there culverts around, things like that, or manholes, drainage, things like that. Do we need an oil sock, something to absorb anything that may run into that hole? So we also have spill kits for you should have in every job trailer, and keep them close to where you're working. Now, if you have a big spill, you don't have 5-10 minutes to run to the job trailer and find this thing. So make sure you know where it is. Inside, it has some oil socks, absorbent pads, like a kitty litter absorbent speedy dry that you can use, and then things for cleanup, any PPE you need, gloves, things like that, then paper towels and trash bags. So spill response, stop the spill if it's safe to do. Use the spill kit that we provide to prevent the spread. Contain the spill, keep it away from any bodies of water. Wear your appropriate PPE. Make sure you put gloves on, things like that when you're cleaning up. If you have spraying oil, wear safety glasses, things like that. All your, dirty rags, things like that, make sure they're in a trash bag or a lined 55-gallon drum. And report your spill to your supervisor, and they will either contact safety or let the people need to know let them know. So that's really all I have. Be safe out there. Clean up your spills. Don't contaminate the environment.
Just have one thing to add, just on if a spill does happen, let's keep the waste on site, and we'll generate a site ID. Try not to bring a 55-gallon drum back to ECI HQ, because we have certain regulatory requirements with our mechanic shops here that generate waste. So we try to keep those gallons of waste down. So we don't want to add site waste to ECI HQ waste as much as possible. So call for a 55-gallon drum if you need it, and we'll bring one out to you and help clean up on site. Make sure the mechanics know too. Well, that's all I have. So Ken, if you want to take it over.
Yep. Yeah, let's see. I'll just do the announcements real quick, and then we'll jump into the charity giving. Just get my screen up here. Having a hard time finding it here. Try again. Yeah, I got the
It's a-
wrong one, I think. For some reason, let's see, try it again. Oh, this must be it.
I think that the code item lined up pretty good with Lindsay being here today, because protecting our environment from all these chemicals and things, those have a direct relationship to the exposures that everyone's having out there with all this cancer and all these other things that happen to our bodies. There, I did a fill.
Yep, there we go. Good fill in. So for announcements, just real quick, we have the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday coming up on Monday. That's the 15th. So be aware that federal, state, municipal facilities and banks and so on, post offices are closed for the holiday. ECI offices are open. Some projects are shut down for the holiday, like maybe Velco and possibly some VTrans work, but I don't think we're doing too many active VTrans projects right now. So coordinate with your supervisor if you intend to take it as your floating winter holiday. And I'll get on to, so the ECI employee giving. Sarah, would you like to take over?
Yep. So this year we raised $27,000 through all the employee giving, paychecks, ATO, and cash. And then ECI as a company brought us up to $30,000. So we were able to write 4 checks of $7,500 each. And then through our sweatshirt and t-shirt sales, we raised another $11,417.50. Our October sales were $1,040, and we added that to the UVM check. So with us today is Lindsay Lange. She's from the UVM Cancer Center Patient Support, and she would like just to take a few moments and thank everybody. So Lindsay.
Thanks so much, Sarah. It was great to see you last week. Really appreciate being here with everybody year after year. It's been a number of years now, and I definitely look forward to getting my little safety update. The first one I'll never forget was on forklift safety, and now I know a little bit more about spill contamination. So thanks so much for that, and certainly the generous support to our patients. The mission of the UVM Cancer Center, again, just to sort of lay the groundwork, is to reduce the burden of cancer for Vermonters throughout Vermont, of course, as well as others in upstate New England. So reducing that burden of cancer is critical in this patient support lens. Cancer provides many, many ancillary burdens, one of which is financial toxicity, and that is probably the largest use of this patient support fund right now. And I wanted to share 2 examples that I find really moving, that I would have never known about had I not been so involved in fundraising for this fund and connected to our social workers. And the first was a woman who has 2 young children, elementary school age, and throughout the summer, she had been coming in for her treatment and doing fine. Treatment was going well. And eventually it became apparent that she wasn't going home at all. It was basically overheard on a cell phone conversation. Clinic is really tiny in that infusion bays, and the social workers were able to pick up on the fact that she hadn't been home all week. She was getting treatment Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and she hadn't been home. She was sleeping in her car over in the Staples parking lot, not far from the medical center, because she couldn't afford gas and the ferry passes to get home. And that is the type of thing she was able to get money through the patient support fund to be with her family, be sleeping in a bed, if you can imagine how difficult it is to go through treatment day after day, and to be sleeping in one's car, say nothing about the health risks and associated risks with that. So she is one recipient of these funds whose really treatment path and life and family has been transformed through this fund. The second example for today is a gentleman, 68 years old, at home, raising a grandchild, living with his wife, raising a young grandchild, all sorts of family dynamics and circumstances there. And we got to know him in the clinic as well, quite well. He spent a lot of time there, far more than you would expect. after treatment. Treatment is all consuming for many. They show up at 7 or 8 in the morning, and depending on their regimen can be there until 2, 3, sometimes even later in the afternoon. But he would be there until the clinic closed, and then sometimes staff would see him down in other waiting areas of the hospital, not for medical needs, just still there. So we talked to him a little bit and basically found out that he was reliant on the food that was being provided to patients, like when they're extra nauseous or the like. There's a snack area, and he would be using that for his breakfast, lunch, and sometimes afternoon snack, as well as being given food from a friend he had made at the cafe at the medical center, leftovers, basically, that he would take and provide for his nourishment rather than have the resources to go to the grocery store or the like. So we were able to give him gift cards to the grocery store so that he too could enjoy more of a real sustainable diet that we know is so important for cancer treatment, and go home and be with his grandchild after school and his wife, rather than stay at the medical center to try to round up food for the nourishment that he needed. So those are two examples that really I share, and there is many dozens and dozens of people who benefit from this patient support fund every single month. That wouldn't be possible without philanthropy. It's purely 100% philanthropically funded, and you all are making sure that cancer patients who are going through all sorts of incredible physical, emotional, and financial challenges, that they have the means to get to treatment, to sleep at home in a safe bed, sometimes in hotels as well if home isn't an option, and to eat 3 meals a day, which is so important for their well-being and their healing through their cancer journey as well. So thank you very, very much for making an incredible difference in the lives of cancer patients right here in Vermont and upstate New York.
Thank you.
Thank
And just
you,
a
Lindsay.
reminder that the 2024 sweatshirt sales or clothing sales, the recipient we chose this year is going to be the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I just placed an order for a bunch of sweatshirts, and it should be in pretty soon. So feel free to stop on by.
Thanks,
Okay.
Sarah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Lindsay. We appreciate the stories you shared with us. They're very touching, and we're glad to see our efforts and our philanthropy have helped to help out others who are in that kind of need. And
It makes a very big difference. Thanks, Ken.
all right, we'll see you soon.
You bet. Have a wonderful day and a nice weekend, everybody.
Okay, thanks for joining us. You can stick around for the project of the week too if you want.
Oh, sure. One more thing to add to my cool
Okay.
Friday knowledge.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, let's see. I just got one link here to cover to the ECI Primary Care Wellness Program. If you're not enrolled, then please check it out. And then we'll roll right into the project of the week. Ben Heath, are you out there?
I'm out here, and I'm going
All right, I'll let you. You want to take over the screen, or you want me to scroll through?
I would like to take control of the screen.
Go ahead, then. You got it.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This presentation is in regards to the Stowe Culvert Emergency Response we call number 2 on Vermont Route 108 next to the resort. You'll recall we did one. We did a a scheduled emergency in the fall to replace a pipe that had failed in the road, and this is subsequent failure beyond our work zone. During the late December flooding events, ECI responded to an emergency call from Stowe Mountain Resort. Sinkholes had developed along the shoulder of Vermont Route 108 at the access to the resort. Stowe Mountain Resort and Spruce Peak Realty share a 48-inch diameter culvert pipe that drains both stormwater and diverted mountain stream water to the resort snowmaking pond. ECI replaced a 280-foot portion of this pipe network in the fall, and the next section downstream had failed, and Vermont Route 108 was caving into the pipe and stormwater was pulling material downstream. ECI arrived on the site and initially assessed the pipe failure to be limited to about 150 linear feet of pipe. ECI started mobilizing equipment and manpower to the site. We set up Jersey barriers and temporary traffic signals to block off one lane of the road to protect the public from the large sinkholes that had developed along the roadway shoulder. Upon further investigation, ECI determined that the pipe failure extended further down the pipe alignment for a total of 500 linear feet of failed pipe. The existing pipe was approximately 14 feet deep. This event occurred during the week prior to Christmas. The resort was expecting thousands of vehicles to enter the facility over the weekend. It was critical to the resort that the road be open to two-lane traffic as soon as possible. It was also critical to the resort that ECI perform the work quickly so that we were not working in the resort access during the holiday weekend. ECI explored options and determined that the pipe could not be replaced under a two-lane road configuration. ECI developed a dewatering plan that included blocking upstream storm structures and bypassing water to the adjacent west branch of the Little River and filling the entire failed stormwater system with flowable fill. The flowable fill concept allowed us to fill existing void spaces underground in an attempt to stop the migration of sediments, minimize the flow of water within the pipe and roadway failure areas, fill in sinkholes within and adjacent to the roadway, and minimize the probability of new sinkholes developing in the road. ECI set up injection ports, air vents, and an inspection camera into the filled pipe system. We filled up the filled pipe system and adjacent void spaces with 240 cubic yards of flowable fill. We completed the flow fill operation, cleaned up the roadway, and opened the roadway to two-lane traffic before noon on Friday. ECI worked day and night to get this work done quickly so that the resort could have full access to their facilities for their guests. ECI exemplified the team approach on this project. Using good teamwork, ingenuity, and tenacity on this project resulted in a quality product performed safely and efficiently. The resort was very happy with our work and subsequently asked our team to assist them with the replacement of the failed pipe. So this is what we found when we arrived on the scene. There was, a very deep sinkhole right over the top of the pipe. We had no idea what the extent of the void spaces were under the road along this pipe alignment, but we knew that it was unsafe for the traveling public to be driving anywhere near it, and so we blocked off. This is the initial area, which we thought was limited to about 125 feet or 150 feet, but eventually these Jersey barriers headed down the road, down the screen that you see here, beyond this corner to completely envelope the whole failure area. So this is a photo of us upstream in the resort parking lot. You can see the gondola in the background and Smuggler's Notch in the background as well. We worked our way upstream to block off water and then pump. We had to set up some pumps to get the water away from this one structure that we were going to provide blockage in. And so we did a little bit of bypass pumping to get that started. But once we had that blockage in that structure, we could turn the pumps off. So that once that was set up, this whole dewatering system that we had developed was able to run without any pumps. This is a photo of us getting ready to send Jeremy down into that structure to perform the work. It's deep, it's big, there's water coming at you in all directions. And so he's ready. We've got as much of the water controlled as we can. We've got safety equipment and personnel there. And then we realized, you know what, Jeremy, you probably ought to put on some waders. So he got his harness off, threw some waders on, and went down in the hole and quickly and efficiently performed that blockage, got out, and then we were ready to start doing work. Here's a photo looking up the road. This is indicative of what we were facing the entire project. There was just, a stream of traffic the entire time we were working, and the mountain and the resort personnel were in a bit of a panic to get this done because this is one of their most profitable weekends of the entire year, and they rely on their thousands of guests to be at the resort and having a good resort experience. And this was not a good way to get things started to drive up and have this in their face. So it was made clear to us that their goal was to get us out of there as fast as possible. Well, and then the cavalry showed up. We've got Ronnie and Todd and Marty came, and they were gracious enough to volunteer. When they found out that we were going to be filling up this whole thing with concrete, I was on the phone with them, and they volunteered to take control of getting the concrete and figuring out what the mix should be and how to get it into this system in a way that would work the best that it could. And this that effort really did contribute to the success of this project, and it was a great example of how teamwork at this company can really result in us really doing a great job. So here's what this looked like for the day. We had somewhere between 10 and 15 SD Ireland trucks on the road back and forth. I mean, it was like there was just constant trucks coming in. We identified some structures along the way that made sense to fill, and we started from the downstream side and worked our way up. We also you can't see anything. You don't know what the flow fill is doing. You don't know how big the void areas are. You don't know how much flow fill you need. The flow fill, needs to get made at a plant that's far away, and we have trucks on the road. So the folks from the concrete group were working really hard doing math, trying to figure out how many loads of material that we were going to need on the spot. And it was a dynamic situation, and it took a lot of effort and communication to make sure we didn't under order or over order the material. At the extreme downstream end of this, we set up a camera so that we could see what we were doing. We wanted to know, was the pipe filling up? Where were we with this flow fill? That was really the only eyes we had on the system, and it worked pretty slick. You could see the flow fill kind of rise as we were pouring upstream, and it was a way for us to visualize what was happening underground to the best of our ability. Here's another image. Things are starting to get dark. We've got traffic, constant flow, and we're on the upstream end now, and we built a little chimney there to make it easier to get the flow fill in, and also to provide a little pressure to push that material down into the ground and fill the void spaces. Once we had filled all the structures, we walked the alignment to see if we could find any more sinkholes. I think this is Ronnie, who's in one, and we decided, well, we better fill this one too. We had a few trucks left, and we were shocked at how much material that sinkhole took. It was a really good thing that we had found that and decided to fill it, because if I remember correctly, it took several trucks of mix to fill that void. All right, that concludes that presentation. I'll leave this up for you, Ken, to talk about the.
Sure. This archive. Is photo archive is the construction of the new, in quotes back then, WCAX transmitter building on Mount Mansfield, just below the Chin. That's back in 2005. So we were hired by PC, and PC was working for, well, it was Pizza Galley back then, I think, but they were working for WCAX. We've done a lot of work up there for CAX over the years. So that's what I got. And if Ben McKinney is out there, did you have a quick announcement? I forgot to squeeze you in when we talked about it.
Yeah, no sweat. Yeah, Ken, I do. I'll break it up over a couple weeks. Not to bog everybody down, just a couple maintenance and equipment things. For this week, I just wanted to go over some winter and cold weather stuff. It's going to get colder next week. It's been generally warmer than normal up till now. So we do have an idling policy, and that policy is to avoid unnecessary idling. Got to let stuff warm up. Gasoline engines don't need much. Diesel engines, 5 or 10 minutes should be enough. So try not to idle unnecessarily. The real reason for that is it's actually hard on the the valve train in the engine itself to idle excessively without load. It's hard on emissions equipment, and it runs up the hours on our equipment, which makes it worth less. So it's good to let it warm up a little bit, but try not to overdo it. One item that really does need time to warm up more than some people might think is the hydraulic circuits. So when you're starting out first thing in the morning, once that engine's had some time to warm up, it's good to work a single function gently, not under excessive load, to let that hydraulic oil flow through the pump and flow through the lines in the cylinders. If you want more specific info on a specific piece of equipment, like a vibratory hammer might be very different than an excavator on the best way to get that hydraulic oil moving, you can look at the operator's manual or call Pat. And then cool down, we like to let diesel engines cool, especially turbo diesels. 1 to 2 minutes should be plenty to let them cool down. Another cold weather thing is with fuel. Strive to keep transfer tanks and equipment fuel tanks as full as possible. So filling those at the end of the day is a great way to keep the airspace above the fuel from sucking in condensation, which then gets water in the fuel, which creates issues with filters and contaminated fuel. We're using the white bottle power service this time of year. The ratio is right on the bottle. So please do use power service and either right into the equipment directly or into your bulk tanks per the rate listed on the bottle. And if you're using a machine or about to use a machine that hasn't been used for a while, maybe it's something we parked in September, talk to Pat. If that's got summer fuel in it, it could create headaches for you. We got some options. Again, talk to Pat. You know, cutting that existing summer fuel with Caro could be an option. Draining that and putting winter diesel in could also be an option. So talk to Pat if you're getting something out of the yard that's been sitting for a few months.
Perfect. Thanks, Ben. Thank you again, Lindsay, for joining us.
Thank you,
And we
Ken.
hope-
This was great.
Yeah, we hope to see you again. Stop by the office and everything when you get them, when you're passing through.
Yeah, by all means, definitely look forward to that. And we'll talk to Matt or you or whomever. Sarah and I chatted just briefly about some really cool opportunities for engagement with employees in the community in the coming months via the Cancer Center. So look forward to that.
Okay. All right, I'll turn it back over to Matt to close out.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for all jumping in. If you're watching a group setting, please just send over attendance via text or email so we can capture who tuned in this morning. Let's have a safe day. Let's have a great day.
Have a good one.
Thanks. See you, everybody.